glad to be here, and I'm very, very happy that last time I made a proposal regarding the ammunition and the joint procurement, and I'm really happy that in 5 weeks we have been able to come up with the agreement on this. And I would really like to thank Ursula von der Leyen, also Şarl Mишель, Josep Borrell, and also the media, actually, because you were also talking about this, and that also made an effect. So thank you all for that. But we have to continue working, and today we have a meeting with Antonio Guterres and, of course, UN Secretary General. We will talk about the aggression tribunal. Actually, I will raise this. We have to move forward with the tribunal for the crimes of aggression. The ICC arrest warrant is a good sign that no leader is immune to the crimes committed. We know that ICC can only prosecute the war crimes, but they cannot prosecute the leadership crime, which is the crime of aggression. And that's why I think this is a good sign that we can move forward with this, and it has to come from the UN. It has to be international tribunal regarding the crimes of aggression. And the third point, what we have to work on is the oil price cap. We had an agreement in December that the oil price cap will be tied with the market price and will be 5% lower. We agreed that we will have a review in January, then in March, but we don't have that review yet. So we know that Russia is earning less from the oil, 42%. We see that actually the economic sanctions, including the oil price cap, is having an effect on Russia's economy and also their ability to fuel the war machine. So we should continue with that. And I really would like to see that the G7 would agree to go on with the oil price cap. And I know that there are worries that if the price is lowered, that it can't be raised back again by some G7 members. But if they would respect the agreement that we will lower the price when the market price comes down, I can assure you that we will respect the agreement that if the price rises, we are ready to rise that price as well. And we will talk about the economy and competitiveness. Here, I think it's very, very important that we will review the cumulative administrative burden that European Union is putting on different or on the economy and different companies. What we see in Estonia is that the digital tools should go hand in hand with the reporting obligations, for example. We see that, for example, we did a pilot project to go through workforce reporting, and only 10% is needed to report because you actually have the data sets in different places. So I think this should be the mindset of European Union, so that the companies could focus on really gaining profits, so investing to the economy, not the administrative burden. Thank you. No, I'm not concerned in this regard. They are great friends, we can see, but I think what is important is that China also respects the international rules-based order and also the UN Charter, where they have agreed that no country can really attack another country, and if somebody does, you have the right to defend yourself. So sending weapons to the party or the country that is defending itself is respecting the UN Charter, whereas helping the aggressor is the other way around. So there's clearly one aggressor and one victim here.
The amount of ammunition, do you think that is enough, and will that reach Ukraine in time? And second question, are we seeing the beginning of a real defense European Union now?
I think it's good that we agreed in such a short time frame, and we also agreed on this 1 million artillery shells, which is quite a good amount of artillery shells, and within 12 months, which is also getting the period much shorter. It depends how far and how long the war will last. Will this be enough or not? So that's why we need to have and use all the tools that we have: political pressure, political isolation, economic sanctions, to put the pressure on Russia to end this war. Because the war ends when Russia realizes it's a mistake.
Do you need energy, gas, oil from the Middle East, especially from Iraq or Iraqi Kurdistan region?
We will discuss energy issues as well for the coming winter, because this winter we survived. I think it's quite warm already outside, and even in Estonia, the sun has melted the snow, which is great. And we have to focus on the next year. So, what are the partners that we get the oil and gas from is one question, and the other question is how we can actually consume less. And there we have been also successful, I think, in many regards, reducing the gas consumption, but also oil consumption as a whole. It's not a topic. It should not be a topic unless somebody raises it.
Mr. President wants to talk about fertilizers. Could you imagine lifting sanctions from Belarus, for example, so fertilizers come out also for the global south?
There is no limits to getting the fertilizers out of Russian ports. There are 18 ports that they can use. There are also out of 300 banks, only 13 banks are sanctioned. So this is actually a Russian narrative to get something out that, we will weaken the sanctions. And I think it's a very wrong way, because the aggressor only hears and understands strength. If we weaken the sanctions, we go with their narrative, and we shouldn't do that. It's not the question of the sanctions, it's a question of Russia's actions. They can send the fertilizers, the grain out of their ports, and it is not the question of the banks. We shouldn't weaken the sanctions.
Should we talk about a sanctions package against Russia, or is it too early?
We have to talk about the circumvention of sanctions, because what we see is that we don't have a trade with Russia so much anymore, but we have a trade with third countries, and that is the question, whether it's actually going to the third countries, or is Russia using this transit in the benefit. So we have to talk about the criminalizing the circumvention of sanctions. We have to cooperate regarding this, and of course we can also discuss the next sanctions package, but I think it's more important to get the loopholes closed.
Are you afraid that on competitiveness we are losing the game against the US and China while using ourselves on these sets like the nuclear energy question?
The single market as a whole has been a success project. If you think only 18% of the world's GDP comes from the European Union, but it's clear that we are losing in competitiveness. And where are the obstacles, really? I think one is that we do things together, but we have to really decrease the administrative burden. And coming from a small country, we don't have big companies, but putting more administrative burden actually means that they can't focus on what they are good at, which is the economy. So we have to see where there are the obstacles, but also where are our strengths. And I think that we have a lot of know-how here. We could focus on the tech sector. We could also focus on the digital economy. So we should do these things together, but we shouldn't throw the single market out of the window because of different subsidies that different regions are doing. So we should focus on that. We have sanctioned Belarus, and I think we should treat Russia and Belarus together, because they are clearly operating together here.
The European Union will buy munitions together also for Ukraine. but also countries like Austria are participating, but they're going to buy ammunition for themselves. Do you think that's, speaking about solidarity, that's the right thing to do, meaning the same ammunition as the Ukrainians?
We have both sides. I mean, we all have to also replenish our own stocks, and we have to send ammunition to Ukraine. But what is critical is sending ammunition to Ukraine fast, because that might bring a change in this war. But we also need to replenish our stocks. What should come first? I think sending weapons and ammunition to Ukraine, and after that replenishing our stocks. If we can do it parallelly, that would be even more great, but that depends on the production of the defense industry. And now I hope that when we have this joint procurement, then the defense industry has the orders that they can actually double their production, because they haven't done so far. We're going to talk about this tomorrow, but I think the banking sector in Europe is much stronger, because we have been through the financial crisis, but we think we should move forward. We should also have the joint system of guaranteeing the deposits, so that you could have the security that the banks will not fall, and also the banking union and capital markets union. I think that would also enforce the single market and European Union as such. Okay.
Do you think that peace talks can be solution for the war, to end the war?
Excuse me?
Do you think that peace talks can be the end, or should be the end of the war?
Of course, every war ends in peace talks, but the question is when this will be possible, and on what terms this will be possible. There is clearly one aggressor and one victim in this case, so that means that Russia has to go back to their borders and has to agree on reparations, for example. Okay, thank you.
On trade, how does steps like the carbon border or adjustment sanctions help the EU win the war influence with Russia around the world when countries see what some see as pretty protectionist?
I think the climate report that came out of UN is a very, very concerning material, that we all have to do more, and we all have to do what we can do. Europe is a big player in this regard. I wouldn't even compare this to Russia or tie these things together. It's clear that the war is not doing anything good for the climate. That is very clear. In regards to trade, I think we have to convince also the other UN members that fighting the climate change is very important, and ETS is one of those tools to do it really. And we don't have much time if you read the reports. As I said before, it's a question to those countries that have fighter jets, if they can give those. But when we have talked to Ukraine, they say that ammunition is the most important right now to make a change and to really survive. Okay, thank you.